Well, 140 inmates in a geriatric unit at the Utah State Prison are no longer on lockdown after they were treated for scabies. The lockdown is lifted and visitors are now allowed back at the prison.
Joining us this morning is state epidemiologist Dr. Leisha Nolen to let us know more about scabies and also an urgent issue, measles. We'll have more on measles in just a moment. Thanks for joining us. First of all, what is scabies? We've heard about that in the news recently.
Yeah. It's an infection with a parasite that can cause us to get really bad itchy infections. I think most people are familiar with lice. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like lice. Lice infects your hair and gets you really itchy on your head, but instead it infects you and gets to your skin, often the folds of your fingers and your toes. It's an itchy parasite.
Little mites.
Are they
that
like
get
bed
into your
bugs or
skin.
something?
Yeah.
They get in your bugs. They're kind of a similar bug, and they are a little thing they can burrow in, cause you really itchy rash.
How do you get rid of them?
It is treatable with some medication. It's a cream that you can put on, but actually what's tricky is it gets into your bed, it gets into your clothing, and you need to wash everything with really hot temperatures to get that parasite to go away.
Okay, here's some of the points on scabies. As we mentioned, infestation of the skin. This is from the CDC, by the way. It's a human itch mite. I've seen some pictures of them. They're nasty little critters. Okay, it causes intense itching and like a pimple type rash, right?
Yep.
And anyone is spread skin to skin, very contagious, I guess, and anyone can get scabies, but it's not too likely unless you're in a confined place.
Yeah.
And confined like the prison.
The prison, right.
Yeah.
Here in Utah, we don't see outbreaks of this very often. It certainly can happen. We certainly get people occasionally getting it, but happily it's not too common. Things to think about are daycares, nursing homes, places where people are close together and having a lot of close contact.
Okay, and is everybody okay from the prison?
Yes, happily
Okay.
the treatments seem to be going well and everybody's getting rid of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scabies, it sounds like rickets. I mean, like one of the
Things
old-timey
we don't hear about
old-timey
anymore.
diseases. It's like, is that real?
Yeah,
it is.
Unfortunately, it can happen, but here in the U.S. and in Utah, we don't get it too often.
Okay, we're seeing a picture here. Is that a
Yeah,
scabie bug?
That's one of them under the microscope.
That's one of those
Wow.
mites.
Yeah.
Yuck.
So you don't want to mess with that. But I guess it's fairly easy to treat, just like a pill will do it.
It's a pill and a cream. So it is, in terms of getting it off you, it is not too hard to do. We have good medicines for it. It's just getting everybody treated at once and getting the beddings, sheets, clothes treated too, because unfortunately, if you get treated and I don't, I can pass it back to you.
Oh, great.
Oh.
Yeah, so you got to take care of everybody.
Everybody at
Okay.
once. Yeah.
All right, we want to switch now to measles, and recently we've heard of outbreaks in a few other states.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to you last night, you seem to be pretty concerned about measles maybe making a visit to Utah.
Yeah, certainly. We are seeing more and more states get hit by this. It's true throughout the whole world that there's a lot of measles right now. And Utah it's going to be lucky if we don't get it. So I think we should expect somebody to come and visit us who has measles, and then it could spread here.
Now, we want to show you this measles. And we know that they're highly contagious. The symptoms start at 7 to 14 days after exposure. It comes with a high fever, a cough, runny nose, red watery eyes. So people might think it's a cold, a bad cold maybe, and then there's also a rash.
And then it can keep
involved with
getting
measles.
worse from there,
Yeah.
right?
So, and like chickenpox, I think a lot of people think, oh, measles, this is something that just gives you a rash. It's not going to be so bad. And they think, oh, kind of like chickenpox maybe. No, this is much worse. Usually about 1 in 5 kids has to go to the hospital with this infection. And that's what we're seeing in Texas. It's that kind of number of kids that go to the hospital. They even have some kids in the ICU. And probably, as you know, one person died.
Yeah,
And
one
these are-
child died,
One
and then
child
one
died.
adult also died
Yes,
recently.
right,
Yeah.
And these are CDC photos here. I mean,
Oh,
it's-
in the mouth and the eyes?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that has to be painful.
Yeah, it can be pretty unpleasant. And of course, we know there's a great way to prevent this. It's a really good vaccine. I suspect all of us have had this vaccine. Most of the listeners, in fact, most Utahns have had this vaccine. And it's an exceptionally good vaccine. Nothing's 100%, but
Is it
it's
still the
close.
MMR, the measles, mumps, and rubella?
Exactly. Yeah,
The-
yeah.
All three of them, a triple whammy there.
Yeah.
But I know in that area of Texas where the outbreak first started, there was I think a religious community that doesn't do vaccinations,
Yeah.
and they ended up sharing.
That's what happened. Yeah, it got into that place where very few people were vaccinated, and it just passed really easy person to person. And unfortunately, there are parts of Utah that don't have super high vaccine rates, too. And so we're worried if If it gets introduced there, it could just explode and really take over those
contagious.
communities. Yeah.
Well, and you expect that we will see some measles cases here.
It would be a miracle if we didn't. We certainly, I think it's up to 14 states now in the U.S. that are seeing measles cases. It just keeps on spreading and spreading. We know a lot of people in Utah travel, so we just have to sort of expect somebody will travel and possibly bring it back.
Okay, and the vaccine, it helps. Talk about an outbreak. An outbreak is what, 3 or more related cases?
Yeah, so actually in Utah, we even consider one case an outbreak because we don't have measles in our state, right? So as soon as we have one, we want to tamp it out. We don't want it to spread. So even if we have one, we have our teams, we have our local health departments really go out and make sure everybody who's been exposed gets the right treatment, stays at home and doesn't spread it.
So is the state really going to get on the wagon right now, just warning people ahead of time?
Yeah, we've been trying to put out messages. One thing, I know this was spring break, and that's a perfect time for people to travel, maybe get exposed and come back. So we've been trying to put out information about be aware, get your vaccine if you haven't, get your kids' vaccine if you haven't. It's a safe thing to do. It's really effective.
Okay. Does the state health department have the early symptoms to look for?
Certainly.
Go to the website?
Yeah, it is on the website. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, Dr. Nolen, thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate that.
Good luck taking care of all of us.
Thank you.
That's her job.
Yes. We're going to